Wrong one. Welcome in, everybody. I think we are live. Thank you for bearing with me as I'm going through Gremlins, not just with YouTube and with OBS, but I'm trying Google Meets instead of Zoom here. We're going to bring in Jeff in just a second. Hopefully everything is working technically. Hopefully you can hear me and see me okay. I'm going to keep my eye on the chat all the while through. We've got some fun stuff lined up to talk about, something new to look at that I have just off screen here. Oh, you can't see it. We're going to unbox this a little bit later. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me okay in the chat. And let's bring in Mr. Jeff from Suns and Shadows. I can get your video working too. There we go. Jeff, how are you?
Doing good. Thank you for having me.
Welcome to GateWorld. Hey, for folks who don't know you, I've had the pleasure of being on your podcast at Suns and Shadows here on YouTube a couple of times.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about we'll get into the rewatch. I want to talk more at length, but just tell us about what you guys are doing over there.
Yeah, the quick and skinny is we like to have live stream reviews every Thursday night, 8:15 Pacific time. And ultimately, we like to rewatch, revisit the show, and we like to talk about any news. And we have some of our co-hosts that like to 3D print Stargate stuff, and we sometimes get old Stargate merch in. It's just a fun time to just hang around, chill, and relax with everybody and talk some Stargate.
Very cool. I want to start with, Jeff, I want to start with your fandom. How long have you been a Stargate fan? When did you first discover the show, and which show did you find first?
Oh, it would be SG-1. So my story is a little bit on the kind of quirky side. My first experience was free Showtime weekend. I saw Cold Lazarus for my first episode, and I thought, I'm not a fan of this. It was not the best episode to introduce somebody to. But in hindsight, it actually is a really good episode, just not to introduce somebody. So I kind of dipped out. And in around 1998 to about year 2000, I was doing some fan newsletter for a TV show called First Wave. They brought me out to visit the set. And while I was out there, I got to visit Rainmaker Digital. Rainmaker Digital ultimately convinced me to give Stargate a shot at the hotel that night because they were working on some digital effects and they showed me something really cool. And I'm like, okay, I'll give it another crack because everybody on the set of First Wave was screaming, you got to watch Stargate. Roger Cross, I interviewed him. He said, you got to watch Stargate. And then Rainmaker Digital. So that was a fun experience to be like, all right, I'll watch it. That night on Space Channel, and there was like 3 or 4 different channels playing Stargate that night on the local TV. I think I watched about like 5 episodes, and I saw a familiar face from Full Moon Oblivion movies, Musetta Vander. And this was the beginning of the kind of the Tok'ra arc with like what was going on, and Teal'c had his soul patch. So I didn't know that was kind of a thing. And ultimately, from that point on, it was off to the races, and I was a fan ever since.
Musetta was Shaunach, Teal'c's old flame in Crossroads in early season 4.
Oh yes.
I never watched First Wave. I know it was kind of it was a Vancouver staple in the Vancouver film and TV industry for years and years, kind of in between that X-Files and Stargate period. Yeah. It was a Canadian production, right? That aired on Sci-Fi Channel here in the States.
Yep, 3 seasons total.
And the lead of that was Sebastian.
Yep, Sebastian Spence and Roger Cross. And then ultimately they would have like Rob LaBelle, who got upgraded to a main cast member. And then also eventually Tracy Lords for season 3.
Right. And we got Sebastian as a Tok'ra. I'm sorry, I'm trying to bring up the chat here on my phone. We got Sebastian as a Tok'ra eventually.
Yes, I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah, I wish that we had seen him more. He was just in one episode. I don't recall offhand what the episode was, but it was a later season Tok'ra. And I recognize him. That was the dude from First Wave.
Yep, and he had like the newer leather outfits at the time too. And I'm like, oh man, where was that back in the early seasons? Because that looks so cool.
Well, guys, we're trying to get some practice here. Jeff is helping me out and being very patient with me while I learn the tools of the trade. David over on Dial the Gate makes this look so easy, but of course he's got 5 years under his belt and usually has some production help, or at least in years past, has had somebody sitting off screen making sure everything works right. Because I'm using Google, I think I'm going to blame Google Meets on this. We'll try Zoom maybe in the future, but every time I toggle off of Google Meets, Jeff, your screen goes blank. So I have to keep Google Meets highlighted as a browser window, which means I can't toggle over to the YouTube and interact with the chat. So chat, I got you here on my phone. Don't worry about it. We're going to keep an eye on and see what you guys are saying, because we're hanging out today. This is our second, actually, it's been a while, but it's our second casual Stargate hangout here at GateWorld. The first one I did an unboxing of that giant pyramid ship from Master Replicas, the big Roz pyramid, which I still need to do a review of. It's sitting down in my living room, and I did the unboxing and kind of had my first impressions here on a live stream over the summer. And then I put it out on my shelf, and I've kind of been living with it to see if I can get used to it. The strangest thing about it is the color, I think, is just off. So I'll cover that in my review, but I've kind of been avoiding doing the review on it in part because I wanted to see if I would get used to it. And it's an interesting piece.
It's big, man. Mine is still sitting in the box behind me, and I don't know where to put it in this room.
Okay, so you got the pyramid ship?
Oh, yes.
Have you unboxed it yet?
I have opened it. I took it partially out, and then I put it right back because I couldn't figure out where to put it. I want to display it properly, but it's like a fun little end table next to my couch, movie theater seating over here. So
yeah, so it's large and it's very heavy, right? I just happen to have a cabinet in the family room that I could just stick it on the end.
There you go.
Because I don't have anywhere else to put it.
Yeah,
it's a really impressive piece, though. Do you have anything else in your Master Replicas collection? Have you been buying any of these ships or Stargates?
Yes, I have the Daedalus, I have a Hatak vessel, and I have the two Master Replica Big Gates, and I'm waiting for the Destiny one to come out. I also pre-ordered the Destiny ship as well. So I'm looking forward to Master Replica's incoming models.
The Destiny Gate should be here soon. I seem to remember they advertised it at least as shipping in October.
Yeah.
I don't think I've gotten my email yet telling me that it's on the way.
Nah.
But it's coming soon. That's not what's off camera here, if anybody's guessing what I'm unboxing later in the hour. Okay. What else is going on Stargate-wise? I mean, I got some news that we can talk about here, but what else is going on Stargate-wise that you're excited about right now? I mean, I write news stories for GateWorld, and it's kind of slim pickings. We've got really these two active licensees, right? We've got Master Replicas doing the models. We've got Blue Bricks over in Europe doing the Lego-compatible brick building sets. And in terms of me kind of paying attention and reporting on Stargate news, that's kind of all I'm seeing these days. What are you seeing?
Yeah, I'm getting a little bit of the same. I like to travel a lot of the same circles. I also go to the less known circles where just picking out like, hey, they're recycling news from a couple of years ago, but every once in a while there's a little crumb of something in them. So I always recommend everybody like listen to GateWorld, listen to Dial the Gate, listen to the people who really do know Stargate for your news. But it also is, I see what people are trying to do. Some of it's a little clicky, but some of it is there is a passion. They just really want to encourage the conversation to keep Stargate in the lexicon of pop culture, because we got nothing for Stargate right now. That's partly why we're doing our show. But at the same time, we don't know what's going on with Amazon and MGM right now. They're making bids for like Warner Brothers, and they're clearly not focused on Stargate at the moment, despite the 4 different things we've heard they've worked on, including rejecting Brad Wright.
Man, I don't know about you. I'm kind of out of patience with Amazon in terms of putting something new, Stargate, into production. I lived for a lot of years, like the better part of a decade, just thinking, this thing's coming back any minute. This thing's, there's going to be an announcement any day now for a new
Right.
Stargate project. Folks who've been following the channel for a while know that we made a lot of content over the course of 5 years or so that was just kind of a, you know, MGM's about ready to do this. Oh, MGM just got bought by Amazon. They're about ready to do this. Oh,
Oh,
they're talking with these producers, this writing team. They're about to do something. Comic-Con's just around the corner. Maybe they'll announce something. And it was so fatiguing to me as a fan, let alone a content creator, as a fan, for them to just do nothing and then
yeah.
nothing and then nothing again. And right, we hear from sources about conversations that might be happening inside the studio and who's, throwing up red flags about what. Uh, but it's I kind of reached the point of exhaustion. I don't know about you. I think
I
it'll
am.
happen, but I also have these other shows, right? These other fandoms that I'm a part of, like Warner Brothers owns Babylon 5, and
Yep.
aside from the new animated film that came out recently, I mean, there's just years and years and years where the studio's just right. Seems to fans to be a franchise that's worth revisiting in some form.
And that
Uh,
hasn't been driven into the ground like other
that wasn't
franchises.
driven into the ground. JMS, the original creator, was working on a reboot at one point for the
Yep.
CW. He seems to be wanting to do more with the franchise. And in that case, the studio just can't get it done.
Yeah.
And I'm
Kicking the
feeling,
can down the road, so to speak.
yeah, right. So how long was there? How long was the gap for Battlestar between the original series going off the air and the remake getting the green light?
Oh, Galactica 1980 to what was that? 2002, 3-ish for the miniseries. So
Yeah.
you're talking 23 years ish. But they had been talking about rebooting it in movies and TV show wise for a long time. It
Right.
finally was Ron Moore who got it really rolling and gave us something different.
Right. I
So,
remember it was Richard Hatch. Anytime he could get somebody to listen to him, was pitching his revival all
yes,
through the 80s and 90s. There was a Bryan Singer movie in development at one point in the 90s. He was going to
I
do
remember that.
Battlestar. Do you remember that? I think he actually put together some money and like built a Viper.
Yep, he did.
So there was a picture of that floating around. And then, yeah, finally Universal gave the green light for Ron Moore. So now I'm right. I'm talking about these things because I'm kind of positioning Stargate's revival in terms of how long does it take. If it's not right around the corner, then you've got 20 plus years for Battlestar. You've got
Well,
B5 has had some small revivals through direct-to-video stuff. But Star Trek, hey, I know Star Trek is a bigger franchise, higher profile, but when Star Trek went off the air, when Enterprise went off the air, it was what, 4 years before JJ's movie was announced.
I believe so, yes.
That was a pretty quick turnaround in terms of a gap.
Yeah, like the studio was just a little. They wanted something more fresher and newer and get away from from some of the cores of Star Trek. They really wanted to update it with. I thought they had a really good cast. I just wasn't a big fan of the movie overall.
Guys, I'm going to read some of your comments here. Jeff, feel free to do the same. You probably have better access than I do here, squinting at my phone. Joppy 1992 says SGU shouldn't be continued as a show anymore. Too much time has passed. That's kind of tough. So one of the things that we did here on the channel recently was I did the sort of look at Joe Malazzi's comments on Stargate Universe Season 3 and what kind of ideas were in the mix for resolving the cliffhanger, how it might have started. And that video has gotten so many comments about SGU Season 3, bringing the show back, and how easy it would be because the show left off with all the cast, except for Eli, going into stasis.
Right.
It gives a really easy story potential to bring everybody out. Maybe you can't sign everybody, so somebody's pods failed and they died. Their stasis machines were not working right, so everybody aged 15 years. The story is really easy to do a revival in that context, but is an SGU revival even feasible, do you think, for MGM and Amazon right now?
I think so personally, because I ultimately ended up liking the show a lot, and it was definitely getting to the spot where it needed to be as a show that was worthy of the Stargate name. I know a lot of people have their issues with the show, but it was getting there. In the second season, things were starting to lighten up. The chemistry with the cast was really growing, and it was really getting there. And how they left it off, left it prime and ready for picking it up a year or two later, 15 years later. Like you just said, something could have happened with the stasis pods. We've seen that happen within the Stargate franchise and world already. When it comes to stasis pods, weird things happen. So you could easily bring people back. And I feel like there's enough of the cast that want to come back and give at least a proper ending to the story and use that as a launching pad for something new. Or let's just keep on going, even if it's in the form of a quick little mini series, like Farscape ended up having.
Yeah, boy, I don't want to come across as a downer and a naysayer here talking about Stargate's revival again. I've just kind of, my heart's been ground into the dirt and stomped on a few times over
I hear you.
the last 8 years or so, right? Since about Stargate Origins, when it looked like the studio is actually going to start to do something with the franchise again.
Yes.
And then Brad Wright wrote a script. He had an idea for a fourth live action series, and evidently it didn't survive the sale to Amazon. This is what we've heard, is that Amazon looked at the script, looked at what was in the mix, and decided to pass on it. They were going to do something else with the franchise. So that sounds to me like, let's figure Stargate out from ground zero. And
Yep.
I don't know if a continuation of any of the old, as much as fans want it and I think need it, as much of a great gesture as it would be from the studio to fans, to give some kind of wrap up to SGU, to Atlantis as well.
Yeah.
Let's see Richard Dean Anderson one more time. I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, I try and stay on the positive side. Like, I'd love to see it if it happens like that. That'd be great. But it's been so long, and the movement's just been at a snail's pace. If it's even going that fast for any sort of production or green flag, or hey, let's get to talking about this again. Like, Amazon seems to be in their own little world with everything else that's going on, and it feels like Stargate is going to sit in the background for a while.
Yeah, and I don't know if our gap is going to be 20 years, 25 years, or hopefully not. Man, I'm not getting any younger. I don't know about
I
you.
know.
I see some of the gray here going on.
Yeah, I'm getting that too. This was nice and black like several months ago. Now the gray's starting to kick in.
Yeah, Stargate was a great love of my 20s and 30s, and now I'm pushing my 50s. Not too far away. Let's go back to the chat. Joppy, I'm sorry if I grabbed onto the last comment in a longer thread. Joppy says, I wrote more than what you read out loud, but to summarize it, it can't be continued like that. It can only be rebooted like that. It'll just be SGU in name only. Interesting. Raj Luthra says SGU can still continue, especially if they can't do live action again, they can do it in animation, which I've also seen in comments on that video. Bring it back with animation, right? Hire the cast to do voiceover work. It doesn't matter how old they are or how busy they might be.
That would be a way to handle that.
All right. I want to hear more about you and your love of Stargate. So it started with First Wave for you. Are you generally a science fiction fan? Did you,
Yes.
grow up on Star Trek and Star Wars like the rest of us?
Yes, I am. That's basically like my first love. I mean, I got some other things I'm interested into, but it's always been science fiction. I grew up basically watching the original Battlestar on reruns on network TV. Watched Galactica 1980, which nobody ever wants to talk about, which is something I completely agree with. But
I'll
it
talk about
evolved.
it. I don't know if I have a whole lot of nice things to say, but
Same. But it evolved through the years. I was always about science fiction. Got a little bit into horror, like X-Files, things like that. But I was always science fiction first. One of my favorite shows is Space Above and Beyond, which I always thought was kind of a proof concept that you could do a Stargate show. And lo and behold, a couple years later, we got Stargate.
I just watched that. I think last year, maybe the year before.
Yeah.
So this was one of these Fox shows that I kind of knew was out there. There was one season, it was done. They didn't do any more. I
Yeah.
bought the DVDs, and then the DVDs sat on my shelf for years. And I finally got around to watching Space Above and Beyond relatively recently. And it was, I mean, if you like 90s sci-fi, it's very 90s
It
in a lot
is.
of respects, but I enjoyed it. There's some really standout episodes.
Absolutely. And there's a time or two in Stargate, I feel like there's a little subtle homage or reference or an Easter egg. Like we just watched Tangent last night on our show. And one of the shots of the X-301 coming off of the planet, it looks almost like an exact replica of the hammerheads coming off of the Earth in like a 4x4 formation.
Hmm.
But with this, you have one, but it's almost the exact same camera angle, exact same framing, almost the exact same shot. And I'm thinking, that's how you do an homage to something and say, we see you out there, you fans, you keen-eyed eagle people.
Yeah, good enough to pinch from.
Yep.
That's cool. It always struck me as kind of Starship Troopers-esque, but more
Yep.
earnest, right? Starship Troopers, the film adaptation of Starship Troopers, was very deliberately kind of tongue-in-cheek, overtly sort of calling out the nature of the military campaign in a sort of satirical way. Space Above and Beyond is more earnest. I think I read it as more sort of trying to be its true self as a military story.
Yeah, and that's how the Morgan and Wong tackled that. Like they absolutely had a full and still do a love for the military. And then you bring up their show to them, and for the longest time, they're like, they're all dead. Show's over. They didn't want to talk about it because of how they got treated by Fox with that. They were supposed to get a second season, got canceled at the last minute, so they decided, you know what? That's how we're going to do our finale of this show. We're going to show you what happens when you do that to showrunners.
It was Fox before Firefly.
Yeah,
Firefly's cancellation was just one in a long tradition of Fox not having confidence in its science fiction programming.
yeah. Just ask Brian Fuller and like Peter Horton, Cy Boris. There, you could go down a list of just about all the big name showrunners that you might love. They probably had a show that got robbed on Fox.
Yeah. Suns and Shadows is doing a rewatch, and I've been on a couple times. I'm going to be on next week.
Yep.
If folks who watch GateWorld want to stop by, what are we talking about next Thursday evening?
We're going to be talking about The Curse, and I forgot the one that comes right after.
Tangent.
No, Tangent was just this.
You did Tangent this week, so it's The Curse and Serpent's Venom.
Yep, that's right. Serpent's Venom.
Okay.
And I love The Curse. I'm a big Osiris guy. So
yeah. There's a good chunk of episodes there in mid SG-1 season 4 that the show is just clicking along.
oh my God,
Some
we just
great
talked about that
stories.
last night. Like, oh my God, there are so many good episodes right now. It's a good time to be a fan again.
Now, what's the structure and approach to the rewatch? You guys do 2 episodes a week.
Yep.
And sometimes you have special guests. You've also got some regulars. And is this a sort of podcast where you've seen it a million times, and some of your regulars, this is their first time watching Stargate?
Yeah, there is some that are first time watching because we started up the show, but they're a lot further along in the show. So they end up having to go back and rewatch the episodes that we're covering because we only do 2 at a time. But it's fun to like get people excited. Like, hey, I've heard about this show for years, but now is a good time for me to get into it because these guys who run in our circles on the content creator platform, they're like, hey, fine, we'll give it a crack now. And it's turning out to be fantastic. 2 episodes a week. And yeah, we have some guests sometimes. And mostly we got a core group of 3 guys. It's me, my co-host Skeeter, and Supreme Commander Thor, who runs a Twitter that does every Stargate frame in order for SG-1. And so he's got like a million like little screenshots that he throws up, and that's what we do. And we have a good time. And if we have a guest on, that's great. If not, we got plenty to talk about.
Yeah, I've seen that feed. Is it literally every frame? Like 24
Not
frames
literally
a
every
second?
frame. He does have to cherry pick some out if they're a little blurry or doesn't
Yeah,
match with
every
like the
good
narrative or something. So he does curate them.
Yeah, because I've done that with screen caps, right? I have a drive where I spent over a month, I think, just automatically running my own screen caps because the GateWorld screen
Yeah.
cap gallery is from the initial DVD release, so
Okay.
everything's standard def. It doesn't really fly. It's not really usable much these days. So when I'm, grabbing an image for a news story or to make a thumbnail,
Sure.
I'm going back to my Blu-ray rips and getting something that's HD. So I decided finally to automate and do a whole new collection of screen caps. And the eventual goal is to have an HD screen cap gallery on GateWorld. But now I got to sort through everything that I took and
Yep.
delete all the cruddy ones and all the duplicates and all the blur shots. So yeah, good on him for doing the screen cap project and sharing it with the world.
Oh yeah, and he's also got a friend who's doing Stargate Atlantis, and they finally just finished the first episode, Rising.
And Skeeter's your 3D printing guy, right?
Yep, he's our main 3D printer, and he's working on the 3-foot Atlantis model for the whole city, and he's going to light it
Wow.
up. So he's in the middle of like printing all of that off. He just had to order some more spools to continue
That's
printing.
something, yeah. Yeah.
And he doesn't even know where he's going to put it. He's going to have to argue with his wife where it goes in the house when it's done. And he's like, we'll deal with it once it's finished.
Yeah, well, I've got I don't have 3D printing myself, but I have a buddy, of course, who 3D prints. Martin McLean, whose stuff you'll see on Twitter and social media under SGA Gate Builder, is going to be our guest here next week, or not next week, next show in 2 weeks. If folks want to come back on November 7th, we'll have Martin, and we'll do a showcase of his work, a lot of which you've seen online and a lot of which you haven't. But he does my 3D printing for me. And one of the things that we're going to look at next week when Martin is on is this guy.
Ooh. Nice.
Martin has showcased his DHD on YouTube. You can go and find it at SGA Gate Builder. And he made an interactive version that you can actually dial.
Okay,
and
yeah.
it lights up and has sound effects. He made me a copy that is static. It doesn't have any smart internals, but it's beautiful. So we're going to do that next week. We're going to talk about 3D printing and Stargate fandom.
That's awesome. There's a lot of good stuff you can find and print off if you some of the printers are a little bit on sale right now if anybody's interested in getting into those. I can't recommend nothing because I don't have one myself.
Yeah. Okay, so favorites. You've been a fan of Stargate for a long, long time. You've got favorites. It's kind of fun watching you guys go through the show at the pace that you're at, right? 2 episodes at a time. You're in the middle of season 4 right now. But your favorites, let's start with what you guys have covered together so far. How about that? In the episodes that you've covered up through Tangent, what kinds of stuff has jumped out at you? What kind of stuff has been really interesting that you maybe haven't noticed or haven't thought about for a while, or that one of your co-hosts has brought your attention to or asked questions about?
Oh, man, that's a really good question. Some of the things that I pick up on are more like some of the detail work stuff in like the background, like, oh, I never noticed like this sitting in the background, or oh yeah, that character was in this show for like a brief minute. Like seeing Steve Williams again last night, watching Point of No Return was
He's
awesome.
General Vadreen.
Yep, General Vadreen. And we noticed like we thought he was in the episode more than he was because he was only in it for literally about like 5 minutes at the beginning. Then he's like, I'm going back to the Pentagon. I'm going to let you guys figure out how to bring them home. And it's like, well, you just dipped out.
Yeah.
You didn't want to help. You're going to go fly back to the Pentagon.
I remember the first time I watched that, I thought it was funny. I was like, ooh, cool, General Vadreen. Let's meet a new character. And he's like, all right, guys, I got to nope out. My contract's up. He had me shooting for 2 days.
So things like that. And then like watching like with Point of No Return, Marty and Teal'c on the vibrating bed as Murray, just like little things like that, you know what? I watched this show about every couple of years, but watching it now for the first time in a while, it's just like all the nice little subtleties work out. And some episodes are turning out to be better than I remember them the last time. And I've rewatched this show at least like 10 times.
Yeah. right? But you know, for some of us, I'll admit for myself, sometimes a few years goes by in between
Yeah.
rewatches. Uh, yeah, what's an episode that you didn't love quite as much, and then on your latest rewatch, sort of grabbed you in a way that it hadn't?
Probably the family episode, actually. One where Teal'c's going back to Chulak to get to his children or get to his child and to his wife at the time because he was getting ready for his primta. And I remember thinking way back when that wasn't really that great of an episode when I first got like the DVD set to get caught up with everything. But rewatching it like this time, I actually thought it was a lot better than I remembered it. And I'd also say the same thing with Cold Lazarus. Like every time I watched that particular episode, considering I have such a that was not a great first experience for me for whatever reason, to go back and actually feel like that's actually a really cool episode due to like the coloring, the set design, and just Jack having to deal with his the issue with like his son being deceased and is now back in front of him again. So and then having to deal with his wife, who we never see again, or ex-wife, I'm sorry. And so a lot of these kind of stand out as like these are some good character episodes, really.
Yeah, yeah, I'm totally with you. Fam, I mean, I find it strange being kind of active in social media these days and on Reddit in an era when Stargate's getting a lot of new fans, folks who are watching it on streaming for the very first time, right? Folks who were, little kids or weren't born yet when the show was
Oh yeah.
airing. And it's interesting to see their reactions to things. So, right, I've seen, for example, folks kind of uh, bad mouth Ryak a little bit. Like they don't like Ryak as a character because he's, I don't know, kids in sci-fi are always tough, I think.
Yeah, it kind of is like Cassie, for whatever reason, is like the flip of that. Everybody loved her until they stopped putting her into the show. And with Ryak, you don't like him at first, but by the time he hits like season 6 and on from there, it's like, no, he's got a good character now.
Yeah,
They just used him
he's
as
got
kind of
good
a
arc.
plot crutch initially.
Yeah, he was a plot point initially, exactly. And then he comes back in season 6 as more of a fully formed character.
Yep.
And Neil Dennis, as a young actor, was also a young actor who was figuring out how to get better at his craft as he grew up. I like Ryak's arc. Yeah, I
Yeah,
like
I do
Family.
too.
Family's one of those episodes we don't talk about a whole lot, right? We talk about,
Yep.
favorites and people will post online, hey, this one just came around again. I forgot how good it was. There's
Oh yeah.
there's a handful of episodes that I think don't get mentioned much at all for one reason or another.
Yeah, everybody's got their own little favorite list. And it's
Yeah,
totally cool. It gives you a great thing to
that's cool.
discuss and debate over.
That's right.
Well,
New Ground being another one in season 3.
yeah. Well, in point of no return, just in case some point on our show last night, we really liked the episode, and going by your fan rating and your score on there, we were like, oh man, why did we like an episode you guys nobody's really a fan of? So it's kind of like, oh, that's all right.
Yeah, so this is always puts me on the spot because you guys call out the GateWorld rating in when you're looking at episodes, and
We have fun with it. It's not really
yeah,
like,
no,
oh man, you guys don't like that, or
it's
wow,
totally
you guys like that more than we do. All right, that's cool.
so yeah. Just for folks who are watching who might have used the episode guide on GateWorld, there's 2 different numbers in the episode guide. The first one is the 4-star rating, and that's just me. That's not any committee decision. That's just me, and often it's how the episode struck me the first time I watched it.
Right.
I'll often over the years I'll go back and I'll look at ratings and I'll actually update them a little bit. Ergo being a good example. I gave Ergo a low score when I first watched it. The humor didn't click with me. But as it's aged and as I've aged, I've come to love it more and more.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, there are ratings in there for, when it first aired. I either loved it or didn't care for it quite so much. And then the second rating is the fan rating. The fan rating is the numerical number on a scale of 1 to 10. That's actually calculated from the poll results.
Yep.
So it's got usually, for most of those, it's thousands of fans voting on an episode within the first few weeks of its original airing, which it's a more reliable number. I mean, you look at the stuff that gets 9s and up, and yeah, that's the best of the best by and
Oh
large.
yeah, I'd agree.
But yeah, Point of No Return. I mean, I came to love Marty
All
for
right.
what he was as a character. Uh, but yeah, I stand by my rating.
Hey,
I don't
that's
remember
cool.
what the rating was.
It was a 2 out of 4.
It was a 2. Yeah. So my approach to my 4-star ratings is a perfectly fine episode that's just middle of the road. I give 2.5 stars. I save 3 and up for episodes I think that are above average. Which occasionally caused some consternation with the studio when they were in production, and GateWorld would rate an episode kind of on the lower side. I think I maybe tweaked some writers, torqued them off here and now.
You got your opinions. You stick to them. That's what you got to do.
All right, we're back in the chat. Raj Luthra says Tangent is one of my favorite episodes. It is the SGC's first attempt at spaceflight with alien technology. Right, that's why this episode is so cutting edge for the SGC. This is what we did with the Death Gliders that we got. Then you have the episode Redemption with the X-302 and Prometheus with the X-303.
Great episodes.
Guys, if you have any questions that you want Jeff and I to tackle, go ahead and start putting them in the comments, and we'll keep our eyes open for them. Anything that you want us to talk about. Okay, Jeff, all of 10 seasons of SG-1. Give me a favorite season that is overall you think has the most bangers, and then your favorite episode.
Oof. I'm gonna say season 4, obviously. I also really like season 3 and 5 as a whole, like straight through. I can do a quick little breakdown. Season 6 is fine. It's a bit of an adjustment to Sci-Fi Channel, and we have Jonas, which I like him as a character. I had thoughts on where he could go after his run on season 6, but I also really like the Ori storyline, which I know usually gets me a lot of flack. So I like season 9 and especially season 10 because they finally were really in their stride. So I like all of the episodes in all the seasons to varying degrees, and some episodes not so much. But season 1 is probably the roughest one out there. And after that, I think the writing just really they hit their stride. And when Joseph and Paul got on board, I thought it just hit the ground running to the stratosphere, and that's what really encouraged the popularity and the quality of the show because they understood the characters, the chemistry, and everybody worked so well together.
Yeah, the show is really working at that point. Folks might not notice the much of a change between season 3 and season 4, but there is a behind-the-scenes change. Jonathan Glassner, who co-created this series, left at the end of season 3. And that's why you've got a lot of those storylines from the pilot start wrapping up in season 3, right? Sharai and Skara are both wrapped up in season 3. Jonathan leaves and Joe and Paul get hired for season 4. And yeah, I feel, man, I think about the first time I sat on the couch and watched Small Victories the night that it premiered, and seeing the special effects, seeing the Asgard home planet and all the ships flying around the city. It was just, wow, this show is now ready to kind of explode and tell its mythology. So I'm there with you. Yeah, seasons 3 through 5 are the highlight of the show for me. I also like the Ori storyline. But like you said, when you're doing 20 or 22 episodes a year, not all of them are going to be, 3 to 4 stars.
Yeah.
I won't ask you about your least favorite episodes. That's me.
They're pretty much what everybody would think are the least favorite episodes.
But your all-time favorite
is number 1, baby. I'm telling you that right now.
Do you have an all-time favorite?
All-time favorite. I'm actually gonna throw people for a loop, and I'm gonna say Tangent's actually one of my favorite episodes. Period.
It's an
I also love the pilot, so that is like right on up there. And then I go Window of Opportunity, the Curse, and then when they finally unveil like Anubis, I'm like, thank you.
Yeah, we actually get his name in Summit and Last Stand.
You know, those are two amazing episodes.
Yeah.
I was like, oh no, it's going to get bad now.
No, there's a lot to love. I said for years and years, my favorite episode was The Fifth Race, just
That's a
because
good
I'm
one.
a lore nerd. I love all the
Yep.
mythology. I also think it's a perfect team episode. But as the years went by, it became Lost City.
Oh,
Lost City,
yes.
kind of by a mile, right? This was SG. It was going to be a movie originally, and they turned it into the
Oh,
two-parter to finish season 7. And that's yeah, it goes to show you, even as the show aged and uh, some seasons that people might not love as much still have great episodes. Season 10, however you feel about the Ori story, and the Pegasus Project is just a stellar bit of
yes.
storytelling.
That's a great one, too. And I'd even go back to Crystal Skull if you wanted a bottle episode that never gets touched again.
Yeah. Okay, how about Atlantis? Favorite season, favorite episode?
For Stargate Atlantis, I'm a big fan of basically the first 2 seasons and then the last 2 seasons. For some reason, season 3 is a little weird for me, but it's hard to define a particular episode I like the most. What I like is the Michael storyline and arc. That really made me go, wow, that's pretty dark. And it was actually very interesting, and we had a great casting of Connor Chenier.
Yeah, that was a get for the show. That was really exciting.
Yeah, and if Enterprise had ended sooner, I think we would have had more of them. I hate to put it that way.
Yeah. Atlantis, boy. I don't know. Atlantis is always hard for me to analyze. I think there were some season 1 growing pains.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of good stuff in season 1. Being cut off from Earth was, something that ended with season 2. And that's kind of the Lost Expedition is part of the show that I missed. Season 2, I don't know. I think with season 2, some of my least favorite episodes of the show are in season 2.
Yeah.
Not a big fan of Critical Mass or The Tower.
Yeah, the Tower one, I'll agree with you on that one.
But it also had one of my favorite guest stars, which is Peter Woodward. Galen
Yep.
from Crusade is in The Tower. Yeah, for me, I think season 3 of the show got going, and it's just so hard, right? There's 5 seasons, and they're so different from each other. In part
Yeah,
because of the
that's
cast
kind of the
changes.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it was reintroduced the replicators in season 3, but you still have Weir. I think there's a lot of wonderful stuff going on in season 3, but then season 4, there's kind of a big turnover with
Yeah.
Amanda coming in and Tori leaving the show, and then again
Right.
with Bob Picardo coming in season 5. It's each season of that show is much more kind of distinct in my head, right? Each season's kind of a clearly different thing.
Right.
Did you tell me your favorite episode of Atlantis?
It'd actually probably be Rising. I think that's an
Okay.
outstanding way to launch a show.
Yeah. that's a good
Otherwise,
pick.
the Vegas episode is awesome. I saw somebody in the chat mentioning the Vegas episode. OJZ2. Vegas is definitely a great one.
Vegas is so out of the box.
Yes.
So I should do this while we're talking about Vegas. David and I are going to be sitting down with Robert C. Cooper next week for a pre-recorded interview that's going to air on Dial the Gate soon thereafter. I think not this weekend, but next weekend. You'll be able to watch it. So I'm curious if anybody in the chat has questions for Rob Cooper that you think we should talk about. What are they? Put them in the chat. Let me know. Or put them in the comments on the YouTube video if you've got questions for Rob sometime between now and Wednesday, the 29th of October. But yeah, Vegas is, I love the episode. I love how stylized it is. I love all of Rob's directing choices. It's really off the beaten path for Stargate for sure.
Yep. And really quick, I do see a comment in here from Laj Luthra regarding
help me
Jonas
out.
to go to Atlantis once. And that has always been my opinion. It would have been perfect to move Jonas over to the Atlantis team.
Send
So
him
you
to
had
Atlantis.
somebody who understood ancient and could help out. and he could provide the emotional core that I felt was missing from the team for quite a while, actually. I thought he would have been a
Yeah.
great addition for the Atlantis expedition, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. I'm thinking, who do you replace if right, maybe your budget only allows for a cast of a certain size. So you're launching
Oh,
Atlantis with
man.
4 people on the team.
I'm
Jonas
sorry,
instead of
Rainbow.
you.
I'm going to have to say goodbye to you.
Rainbow's been voted off the island, Lieutenant Ford. Well, unfortunately, the producers had to vote him off the island after season 1 anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, the character had a lot going for him, but he's the one who was kind of, I think, not clicking in some ways.
Yeah, just something felt a little off with the whole chemistry on that. So, oh well. But at least they brought him back in some interesting ways here and there.
Yeah. Okay, we're ready. I'm looking at chat here. We're ready to talk about SGU. I mean, there's only 2 seasons, so I won't make you pick a favorite. I think the general consensus is that SGU improves like a fine wine as it goes along. But what's 1 or 2 episodes highlights of SGU for your money?
Don't quote me on the episode titles because it's been quite a while since I watched SGU. I'm looking forward to us rewatching that when we get there.
Good.
But I like the time loop episode in season 1 with Rush, where everything keeps cycling over on the planet, and I think it's actually one of my favorite episodes of the show. And I also really enjoy overall, what is it called? The one where they finally find a way to charge up the Destiny ship over the sun, and it's like, oh wow, you actually have to get pretty close to charge up the batteries on this thing.
The first time you see it, yeah.
I love the special effects; they were awesome.
Yeah, so that's Time, which is a fantastic episode, and then yeah, Recharging in the Star is Light. Episode 5. And
that's right. They were like Air, Time, Light. They all had like one name.
It was all one word names for a while, and it kind of in the early going. It was focused on resources, right? You need air, you need water, you need darkness and light. Yeah, those are good picks. I'm looking forward to your rewatch of that.
As am I.
Are there any dangling plot lines from Stargate other than the ends of the shows, right? Other than Atlantis being parked on Earth and the Wraith threat still raging in Pegasus, other than Destiny's crew going into stasis, any storylines from the shows that you most would have liked to see them revisit?
I'll always go back to Crystal Skull, like I mentioned. That was always like the one race, like the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and and there goes Daniel Jackson's grandfather, which I have a soft spot for that episode. Love that episode. It was actually very touching, especially when Grandpa was saying like, "Yeah, I've seen you the entire time. I just thought you were an illusion. I thought I was imagining things." So, but revisiting like some of the bottle episodes always had some like really cool ideas and some really interesting aliens that could have been introduced further. But I understand there's a limit on that. You want to just save those for when you need them. Just never got around to some of those. But like an actual massive story for SG-1, I think they wrapped it up pretty good. And Continuum and Arc of Truth really wrapped up the stories. And with Atlantis, they're parked where they're parked. And, Universe, well, what's going on with the Destiny? We're just going to leave them out there.
Yeah, it's they have this really interesting strategy for the writers' room. This is probably something I should talk to Rob about next week. But they would kind of deliberately leave loose ends for potential future stories that they didn't necessarily plan to come back to. So there's always, right, season by season, there's this growing accumulation of little threads that you could go back and pull in here and pull in there. And oh, it's season 9. We have a story that's going to work for Orlin. Let's bring Orlin back for the Ori story. And so instead of kind of definitively ending those stories, they just left the door open a crack just for future story brainstorming, right? So that there's sort of material out there to work with. And it did leave us with some, feel like big unanswered questions, right? Some of those alien races, like the uh, the smoky giant aliens in Crystal
Yeah,
Skull, like the foothold aliens, never came back.
that's a great episode. I always love that one. I'm like, oh man. And then you have oh god, there was one other one. Oh, the furlings, of course, that everybody has cried about for the
The
better part
Furlings
of
get
30
name
years at this
dropped.
point.
Yeah, here's the Furlings. They're one of the most important species in the history of everything, and they will never be mentioned again.
Pretty much.
And then the Ashen, right? The Ashen get two stories that are
Yeah.
kind of brilliantly written, future story and then a present day story with the Ashen. And that one needed a conclusion to the trilogy.
I would agree with
Which,
that.
yeah, there was a story kicking around. Brad's told this. The kind of story idea was kicking around for Earth to get its comeuppance, for there to be a reckoning.
Oh,
After the Ashen civilization was more or less devastated by things like connecting to a black hole.
oh, I love that twist.
It's a
Oh,
great
we
twist
gave
at
them
the end.
gate
Yeah.
addresses. They just go from the black hole and they get progressively worse.
Aggressively worse from there. Yeah, darker. I would have loved to see that story, and that's, I don't know, for whatever reason they just decided in the writers' room, like, they got the nugget, but it's not an episode yet, and they never went back to it.
No.
It's really interesting. I'm really fascinated by the process of the writers' room, especially in that sort of collaborative space.
Oh, exactly.
Okay, we started late. I was going to keep you for an hour, but we started late, so now it's after 3. Let's unbox this thing that I have, and you can tell me more about your Master Replicas collection while I do this.
Yeah, I was looking up and I do have the Beliskner I got from that. I also have some Battlestar Galactica. I got OG Viper and OG Battlestar. And that's about what I got for Master Replicas. I'm a little bit behind. I did order what was it? The Prometheus redo that they're working on. So I'm really looking forward to that because I missed out on that the first time.
This is wrapped in noisy cellophane.
Nice box.
Okay, do you recognize it yet?
That's the. Oh, is that the mini gate?
This is the mini gate. So folks will know, if you've been watching the channel in particular, that Master Replicas did this Stargate. This is 9.25-inch diameter Milky Way gate. We did a review of this along with the Atlantis gate, which is the one on the shelf behind me. And, you know, we're criticizing things like it doesn't have a center core here. It needs to be thicker than it actually is. It's just the front of the gate and the back of the gate kind of stuck together. So, I mean, I like it as a prop. I think that they learned from it, and the Atlantis gate is a much stronger piece.
Oh, yes.
It's much nicer. It's much more realistic, right? Show authentic. But what Master Replicas did then is for Comic-Con in San Diego this year, they had a limited edition mini Stargate that they sold to Comic-Con attendees only, and I didn't get to go to Comic-Con. So I wrote to Master Replicas and I was like, hey, pretty please, can I have one? And I didn't hear anything from them. And then they came back from Comic-Con. Some folks might have seen that they had a few left that they then sold. I can't get this box open. So they had some extras. Apparently they didn't sell out, and so they sold them. They sent out to their newsletter list and said, first come, first serve. These are going online. And so I went and I bought one. And I got it. Right, so I'm sitting in my computer. The first thing I do is buy one to make sure I get it. The second thing I do is go tell the rest of the world that they're available.
Yeah.
So I don't know how many they actually had, but some people got these.
I know somebody who got it, and I did not meet the requirement. I was a little late.
You didn't make it in time?
No, I was working at that moment, and I'm like, on my lunch, I'll go check it out. And by that point, okay, out of stock.
Yeah, they went out of stock super fast. I don't know how many they had. But so I ordered one of the extras, and then this showed up in the mail, and I was like, oh, cool, they just shipped it out really fast. They shipped out my order really fast. And then a few weeks went by, and I got an email notification that my order was being shipped out. So apparently, uh, the one that I bought shipped later, and they did send me this one for review, and they just didn't tell me about it. So this mini model is provided courtesy of Master Replicas, and thanks to them, we're going to do a little review on the channel. But here is the mini Stargate. It is
That's
little.
better.
So it's also thin. I don't know if you can see that. I guess it's kind of not so thin as the original proportionally. There's a little bit more in the middle there. But it's not a thick beast like the Atlantis gate is. My camera's going to focus on it. Yeah, so that's the mini, and then here's the original. This is, I think, a 3.5 or 4-inch diameter. And it does come with a tiny version of that same black stand.
That's great.
With the SGC logo on it. So there it is. It's cute. See, this is the kind of thing that I can actually leave on my desk.
All right.
Right? It's not taking up this much space. I have to find a place to display this. Yeah, this I can just set off in the corner and it's there.
I try and decorate my desk and it's full up right now. I'm like, I got no more room.
I know you're surrounded by tchotchkes there. Let's go back to your full screen. You got your Stargate Files sign. You have a Zat gun there.
I got a VHS of the pilot. And I got the Sega Genesis game. And I got a bunch of like anime video game stuff. All my other like Stargate stuff is basically behind right here. I got like all the Funkos lined up with all the ships that I got. And a sealed deck of 1994 movie trading cards, or 95. And that's a prized possession of mine. I'm never opening that thing.
Is it, so the movie trading cards, is it a pack or is it a whole box?
It's the whole box. Here.
Because I've seen those sealed boxes on eBay and have been pretty tempted to grab one.
Yep, love this thing.
Very cool.
I've always wanted a pack of like trading cards sealed in a box, and it was like, hey, Stargate's perfect for that.
Yeah, I have a binder with the cards themselves.
Oh, there you go. Yep.
And they must have done specials in addition to these, right? So there's a base set and then the rare ones.
Yeah, I got an Anubis one somewhere around here. I forgot where I put that one.
Yeah, the one that I have has, it has the base. Let's see, there's 99 cards in the base.
Yep.
And then an extra 12 cards.
Ooh.
To collect the cartouche.
Yeah, there you go. Yep.
Yeah, and I just got those on eBay at some point.
Yeah, you can still find quite a bit on eBay. For our show, and just because we're going through this, I can finally afford some of these things for the first time in like 25 years. But I just got like the watch, the Stargate Live.
SG-1, cool.
And it's never been used. It was like $20. The battery's clearly dead, but
yeah,
it's like, this was like, oh my God, that's stunning. I absolutely love it.
Nice. All right, you guys, we're going to wrap up here. If anybody has any questions, stick them in the chat if you want us to talk about anything else particular before we wrap up. But Jeff, thanks for hanging out.
Thank you.
It's I apologize for the technical difficulties in the late start, but hopefully I'll get better at this.
It's all good. It happens to everybody on, on YouTube. We have our own problems. Half the time we have to back in and out of streams or start a new one too.
Yeah, it's got to be baptism by fire for a YouTuber. But it's a lot of fun to be able to do live streams and chat with folks, right? I've made a lot of friends in the Stargate world and Stargate fandom over the years. I'm glad to count you as one of them. Looking forward to
You
being
as
on
well.
your show next week.
Yeah.
But this is what we want to do, more or less, guys, for the live streams. My thought is to do kind of every other week around this time, 2 o'clock Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern on Fridays, every other week. So next week's Halloween. We won't be here. November the 7th, we'll have Martin McLean, and we'll look at Stargate 3D printing projects, models. I'll showcase some of the amazing things that he has made for me, some of which are on my set, including that
Aqua generator.
Aqua generator that I forgot to turn on. Sorry, Martin.
Oh, cool.
And he's also, he did the puddle for the Atlantis gate here. He did the puddle that's behind the Atlantis gate, and he just gave me these are Atlantis steps with ancient writing on them.
That's what those are. Okay, I wasn't quite sure.
Yeah, let me show this off here. We'll look at it more next week. Ooh, but he was just kind enough to give me this guy.
Ooh.
Obviously designed after the Atlantis gatrium floor. So he does fantastic work, and there are other things loitering around in this room that I have not shown on video yet, that I'm holding back for next week. But we're also going to have Martin on to hang out and chat Stargate next week and show off his new DHD, show off some of the other stuff that he's done, and talk about other projects that he wants to do in the future. Okay, do we see any questions in the chat? Anybody have a burning topic that you want us to cover? Pac-Man D3, nothing much better than discussing Stargate with friends. That's the truth.
Right on.
I'm so glad that you guys are all here. Thanks for joining us live. And those of you who are watching on the rewatch because you couldn't be here live, I appreciate you too. Okay, we'll wrap it up then. Thank you again for your support for GateWorld, everybody. What you do every time you watch a video, every time you share something with a friend, every time you click a like, it helps not just signal the almighty YouTube algorithm, but it's also a big encouragement for content creators like Jeff and I, that you're engaged in the content, you like what we're doing, and you want to see more. But leave it in the comments if you have suggestions for this live stream, if you have suggestions for guests that you want to see come on, topics to talk about. We can do rankings, we can do tier lists, we can talk Stargate news when there is news. That's on the agenda, to talk about news whenever there is news. And otherwise, I think that'll be it. We're on a bit of a time delay, so I apologize. I'm watching the live stream back, and I think the time delay has gotten worse and worse as we've gone along. So maybe folks are not posting questions in the chat yet because they haven't gotten to that part of the show yet.
Let's see. I can listen. Oh no, you're pretty up. You're only about like 10 seconds behind.
Oh, that's good. I'm just pulling the Stargate out of the box, so my phone, my phone's just delayed. My phone got paused.
Mine does that a lot when I do YouTube and I'm listening to everybody or checking out everybody's streams.
I'm learning. We'll, hopefully improve a little bit each time. Okay, everybody, be sure that you go on YouTube and search for Suns and Shadows, and you'll find their weekly podcasts that streams live Thursday nights at 8:15. That right?
Yep, Pacific time.
8:15 Pacific time and 11:15 Eastern time in the US. Or you can watch those replays. They're a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to talking about, don't tell me, The Curse. I'm going to rewatch them. The Curse and the Serpent's Venom for next week.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, Jeff.
Hey, thank you. You all have a good time. Gator's going to
Appreciate you,
gate.
friend. All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.